There's obviously, and we have, can you hear me okay? I don't think this thing's working. Hello? No.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, guess I'm not talking into it close enough. I can agree with a lot of the things that have been said tonight, yes or no. Whatever side you're on, there's passion on both sides. There are people that desperately don't want it for a variety of reasons, and there are people that desperately do want it for different reasons. In my mind, whatever happens tonight, there are not going to be any winners. The planning board obviously has advised against it, and they cite specific parts of the comprehensive plan to substantiate their negative advisory. And as you've heard from Councilor Capalbo, there are a number of parts of the comprehensive plan that would support solar. Now, when we did the comprehensive plan this last time, when it was handed off, the planning board works on it. Then they have usually a workshop with the town council. The town council goes at it, and together we come up with a document that we can bring to the hearing and hopefully approve, and hopefully the state agrees. There is, as I'm not even going to bother to go into anything more than one simple statement out of the comprehensive plan that I'd like to read to you, and Barbara talked about it as well. And this is a recommendation. It's in the public services and facilities. That isn't any surprise. People have heard this before. That the planning board passed on to the town council. The town council, I don't even remember discussing this particular section really. I mean, we looked at it. There were some areas where you had specific disagreements or needed to tinker with. But that recommendation, number 18, consider expanding the current zoning regulations to allow photovoltaic installations in residential districts. And the responsibility for this is the planning board, as it's noted in the comprehensive plan. So obviously, you can look at the comprehensive plan and you can say why it doesn't allow solar in residential, and you can say why it does. I'm not going to get into any more about the comprehensive plan other than just that statement. We've seen developers come and go, and it's only normal that they're going to cite specific areas where the comprehensive plan meets whatever it is they want to do. But the bottom line is we can't say no to everything. The governor, the legislative body of our state, came up with an energy in there, and Barbara mentioned it, the state guide plan for 2035, which has a specific section called energy. The reason that the governor and others are asking all of Rhode Island to look at renewables, solar or wind, or anything else they can dream up, is because we're looking at the potential for serious brownouts in the year 2024. We're finding it difficult, or will find it difficult in the future to meet our electric demands. So that's why these things come up. If we vote no to this tonight, it doesn't mean that future solar proposals that perhaps smaller may be in a good area. And if they're asking for a zone change, this council may decide that it's a good idea. I hope some of you will, rather than just say no to everything solar, will listen, attend the hearings just like you're doing now, go to the hearings and find out. There might be some areas where it's not a problem. Unfortunately, I have a problem with this one. I have had a lot of municipal experience. I've served on committees. I've been on the town council on and off for many years. I grew up on a farm on Fairview that was in between Aubrey Teff, which is on Dye Hill Road, and on the other side of our farm was Lester Teff. I'm familiar with, obviously, with working the land, taking care of animals, what they desire, what they don't need, what they are fearful of. And my father and I, we didn't do it on our land, which was interesting, but we would travel to Connecticut on Route 49. If you get to the top of the very toppest point on 49 in between Clarks Falls Road and Voluntown, there's a farm in there. There's a number of farms, but all those fields that we helped clear are now cornfields. It's a farm. That's what they wanted. They have a right to clear their land. What I learned from it, though, was just how messy it can be. I think that this particular proposal, and I appreciate all the hard work and money spent, the developer and the engineers and on, they have spent out of their pocket, assuming that we would move forward with this. I know that they've made it very clear that they will put in houses if this fails. I obviously am not in favor of many, many houses being built every year with the potential of children that'll cost more than the average amount. I'm concerned that I'm basically concerned about the size of the project. It's approximately 5 times larger than a previous proposal that we've done. And 5 times larger may not seem like a lot, but we're talking about hundreds of acres. I'm concerned about the way the land slopes. We all know where it goes. It heads down Brushy Brook, heads towards Dye Hill, and on its way to Locustville. I believe that I must be crazy to turn down the amount of money and the benefits that money will bring to the town, because I grew up in town. I know the old timers. I know the people who I'm just a 3rd generation. There are others that have family that go back many, many, many years. They have struggled. My father struggled, and that's why from time to time he'd break off a piece of land and he'd sell it because he just couldn't get by. There are people that are struggling now. Some recent information that just, not just our state, but nationwide, that 78% of the people in our lovely United States live paycheck to paycheck. That doesn't mean that one paycheck that's missed will necessarily cause economic failure or financial failure, but it might take a couple. And most people just don't have an emergency amount of money in their savings account, and one little thing can really make a big difference. Personally, I grew up on Fairview. My husband and I got married in 1975 when we bought a home on Lawton Foster Road South, so right in the middle of town. It's a small piece of land. It's only 3 acres. It's only 3/4 of an acre. We have a house right next to us and people that own land in the back. The land happens to slope down toward our home so that we know that when it's a lot of rain, we might get a wet backyard. But on one side of us, the northern side, there was land up in the back, and this family had frontage on Lawton Foster Road. The problem was that next to us, where they wanted to put a driveway in to reach their property in the back, is a wetlands. So DEM, and I didn't know anything about it, and I don't know if I would have cared, because we were new and young and we didn't know. DEM allowed them to put the driveway in, go over the wetlands to get to their property in the back. They have a nice big house in the back. It's very nice. They're good neighbors. What it did to us, unfortunately, is because obviously a driveway goes in, it's not going to be low, it's built up, and it just barricaded us in like a dam, like the beavers do, and we ended up with a 4-inch water table. And that was at the point where we were having serious drainage issues. We're having serious septic problems, and it usually was in the spring. But just that one thing, that one little thing that DEM allowed, so they're not perfect either. They allowed the driveway to go in. We ended up with a problem. We get water in our basement. And what are you going to do about it? Well, we put in one of those really expensive septic systems, so we now have a working septic system, and we found a way to deal with our drainage issues. So it did all work out in the end. But it was that one little thing that you wouldn't think was so bad. I'm concerned about this one thing, but it's not a small thing. It's a big thing. And I just can't support this particular proposal in this particular piece of land. I'm worried about the owls. I'm worried about all the animals. It's just too big.